Remember, we used to have Chernobyl events.
Yeah.
You could tell the computer started winding up.
Yeah, we're definitely not. We're not
We're
taxing the computer
We're live.
now. There's something. There's been an update or something recently that's affecting all of my browsers. Any Firefox, Chrome, any browser in the background, it does not like it. So I'm gonna have to uninstall, reinstall some stuff this week. Well, I got nothing going on. I'm sitting here with an ice pack. Okay.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, we are live. People are logging in. Everything is good. Okay. Whoa. Rain, you're gonna have to rein it in. Okay. Once Casey comes back, we'll get it kicked off.
I'm here. I'm just on mute.
Okay. All right. Is everybody ready? You ready, Brent?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Dudes, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. It is 6:33 on a Tuesday night. We are live on YouTube as we usually are on Tuesday nights. And tonight has been kind of weird, and my computer has crashed, and hopefully that doesn't happen during this episode, because tonight we are joined by Brent Beery from DOD Outdoors. How are you doing tonight, man?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. I forgot to ask earlier, where are you at in the world?
I am in Seattle.
Oh, okay. So on the West Coast.
It's the All-Star game.
Oh, is that what the All-Star game is right now?
That's right.
It's probably like the 5th inning right now.
I don't know. Matt's watching it on his phone across the table here as we're speaking.
I'm paying attention, to what's happening.
Bull pucky.
They're fun to watch, but it's like watching the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
it's like
nobody cares.
No one's really trying that hard.
It's better than the Pro Bowl. You're supposed to tackle people, and they don't.
No. Seattle, this time of year, does it stay late till like 9 o'clock at night in Seattle?
Yeah. So 3 weeks ago, summer solstice, it was light until like 10:30. It's getting dark now at 9:30 maybe.
Yeah, I remember last year when I was up there at this time, I was like, how do you go to sleep? It's 9 o'clock at night and it's still sunny out. Are you originally from Seattle?
I am from Maryland.
Okay, that's a long way away.
Well, so I finished college, 21 years old, and I went directly onto a plane to China and stayed there for 20 some years.
Whoa!
What?
Yeah, and then COVID hit, and they kicked out all of us foreigners.
Oh.
And so, my wife kind of threw a dart at the map, and she chose Seattle. So here we are.
Wow!
But it works out great because that's the center of the outdoor industry.
For
the state.
You were in
it's
the
right place to be.
Great space. The 20 years you spent in China, was that in the outdoor industry?
The last 5 of it was.
Okay.
Before that, I was in the rock and roll industry.
What? There's so many things to unpack
is that a
here.
Cover story?
Yeah. That definitely sounds James Bond-ish,
you
right?
For the State Department?
What did you do in the rock and roll industry?
So there's this company called PV Electronics.
Okay.
You heard of them?
I don't think
so.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Bro, really?
PV used to be
Yeah.
PV, P-E-A-V-E-Y.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I was like, really?
Yes.
Okay, so I ran PV Asia for 7 years.
Dude.
Yeah, and the thing about PV is, we're way off topic here, but the thing about PV is that people know PV because they were Eddie Van Halen's guitar.
Yes.
So they're known as a rock and roll company, but PV's real business is digital audio matrix sound systems for like stadiums and airports. So like any airport in the US and many airports in the world, when you hear, please go to gate 17 for your flight to Dallas, that's a PV system.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And like every NFL stadium, every NBA stadium, they're running on PV systems. So people know PV as a rock and roll company because that's where they see the brand, but that's a sliver of the business. The real business is those big, complex,
Intercom
big
system.
infrastructure sound systems.
That is super interesting. We are way down a path I didn't expect to go when we started this call. See, this is why we don't script anything, and we don't like provide questions, because I love seeing where these things go. So you get out of college, you go to China, you spend 20 years there. During that time, man, there was,
you probably saw it change.
I was just
crazy.
gonna say, like, socially, politically, and industrially, China, that was the boom. Those last 20 years was the expansion, right?
Yeah, big time. From 0 to 100, it was like the only thing I missed that friends of mine who got there a few years before me is the Mao suit. If I had gotten there I got there in 97. If I had gotten there in 93, they would have been still wearing Mao suits, and that would have been real China.
Wow.
But by the time I got there, they ditched the Mao suits. But everything else was the same, man. Just, almost no cars on the road, all bikes, and no freeways, no high-speed trains, just a couple of airports. It hadn't happened yet. And then over the next 20 years is when it happened. It was wild. It was wild to watch. It was wild to be a part of. So
I think there's a whole nother campfire talk about that 20 years of your life, because I bet that is super interesting. So COVID hits 2020, you guys get booted out. You choose Seattle. Your wife chooses Seattle. Literally, was it a dartboard, or was there like reasoning behind Seattle?
Okay, so my wife is Chinese, and in the Chinese mindset, the U.S. only has one coast.
Yeah,
because when Chinese come to the States,
in my mind,
they come
in
to
my mindset, there's only one coast. I say it all the time. Once you go to the other side of the Rockies, nothing matters.
Yeah. So in the Chinese mindset, all Chinese most Chinese immigrate to the West Coast. So when they call home about the States, it's all about the West Coast. So she said, you can have any one of 3 cities: LA, San Fran, or Seattle. Mm-hmm. Oh, Portland, 4 cities.
Okay.
Any one of the big West Coast cities I could have. And we ended in Seattle.
Okay. Wow. So I would normally say the transition from Maryland to Seattle, what's that like? But like by that point, you'd probably spent as much of your life in China as you did in Seattle, in Maryland. So it wasn't, that's insanity. It
was my whole adult life, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 21 when I left, and I was 40 something when I got back. It was my adult life was spent in China, in Asia.
Did you come home for any significant amount of time during that 20-year period?
So, I'll give you a very quick overview. After 3 years, I was working for a Danish company, and they said, "Would you like to transfer to headquarters in Copenhagen?" I was like, "Hell yes!"
Yes, I would.
And I thought, okay, 3 years in China, I've seen it, I've done it, I'm out of here. See you guys. And I went to Copenhagen for a year, but very quickly after arriving in Copenhagen, I realized, the people are awesome, the beer is awesome, the city is fantastic, but it's sleepy. Danish people have already achieved in life what they want to achieve, even at 25 years old. Like they're all set.
They're all content.
You don't meet a lot of people with this like crazy drive, and the business life is established, political life, social life, it's all established there. In China, it was like hanging onto a rocket ship from the outside. It was just crazy. And I missed that, like that excitement, that vibrant life. So spent a year in Copenhagen, and then I quit and I went back.
Wow. Okay.
And then after 10 years in China, 10 years total, so that's 3 in China, 1 in Copenhagen, and then 6 more in China, I again thought I was done. So I left. I went to grad school. I did an MBA in England, and I thought I was done. I was gonna stay in England and be a banker or something boring like that. I don't know what my real plan was, but I was done with China. And then the global financial crisis hit. The world fell apart, and the only place that I was employable was back in China, where I had all that experience. So I ended up back in China again, and stayed another 10 years that time, and that ran me into COVID.
Wow.
So what are the odds you're going back to China?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you the difference now. We had kids.
Oh yeah.
In 2019.
Yeah.
And China is a very nice place to live. Actually, it's quite comfortable and it's safe, and there are a lot of good things about it. But China has air quality problems, and they have food safety problems, and they also lack green spaces. And those are 3 things that I think are really important for my growing kids. So I'm quite happy to be back here, actually. And even if COVID hadn't hit, I would say we probably would be back here.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Plus, there's good beer in Seattle, right?
yeah.
I mean,
There's a lot of Sasquatch hunting. to
Coffee and
do.
grunge music.
Yeah, coffee, flannel,
Yeah,
grunge
yes.
music,
Yeah.
and
You
Sasquatch.
got
Right?
voodoo
Yeah.
donuts up there. I mean,
So let's speaking of Sasquatch hunting. So somehow you go from electronic sound systems in China to now you're at DOD Outdoors. How did that transition take place? I mean, I got to assume COVID happens. Did you come out to Seattle basically with no plan, or was this already part of the plan? Walk me through the last.
Wait, we have to go back to 2016.
Okay.
I had done 7 years at Peavey, and I felt like I accomplished what I was going to accomplish, and I wanted to change the pace. So I left the corporate world, which was a comfortable existence, man. I mean, it's like expats, but foreigners living in Asia, right?
Yes,
Who aren't like intending to immigrate, but just they're living there to work. They have what are called expat packages. So the company pays your house, it pays your car, it pays your groceries, it pays all your utilities, it pays everything, and you get a nice salary on top of that, which you can barely spend because the company.
Yes.
I don't want
I had
to overdo the point.
I had a
but
buddy
it was-
whose
it was-
wife was in China for one of those specific reasons. Same thing.
Yeah.
Like he told me about the packages and what was going on, and I was like, do you need a second husband? Whatever, I'll go as a nanny, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So it does sound like it was a great opportunity.
I had a driver, I had a maid, I had a fabulous high-rise penthouse apartment in the middle of Shenzhen. It was, yeah. So anyway, but
Hold on. I can see Matt's face. He's
Why are you
already looking at China on a map, trying to figure out how to get there.
yeah,
why are you
a
talking
lot
to
of
us?
that is over now.
Oh.
The need of foreigners to help run businesses in China is largely past.
Yeah,
It's much harder to get those jobs now.
They've grown and evolved into a place where they're starting to build on their own.
They don't need.
Well, they
any-
send a generation of kids to Harvard Business School,
Mm-hmm.
So when those guys come back and they grew up in China, they know Chinese culture, they speak perfect English and of course perfect Chinese, then what do they need me for?
Yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, in 2016 I left Peavey and I cast around for what to do, and I didn't choose this. It was chance. A friend of mine was like, man, there is this awesome space right in the middle of town. It was a car showroom. And it has these real high ceilings, big windows. It has surrounded by gardens, and it's a giant footprint. Somebody needs to find something to do with that space. And I called up the landlord, and it was like free. It was so cheap. Real estate in China is wildly expensive. It was a crazy good deal. So I took the lease, not really knowing what to do. And then looking around, I decided that what goes well in large footprint is outdoor gear. Because no one else in town who was doing outdoor gear could display a tent. They were all in these little shoebox, one space retail spaces. And I put up a showroom full of tents, and then we put in a cafe and we put in furniture in the tents. And our sales point was like, don't come in and look at the tents, come in and hang out in the tents, and we're going to feed you, and we're going to give you coffees, and we're going to give you beers. Stay in there and really get the experience. Don't just look at it, or even look at a picture of it like they were doing in the other shops. And it was successful. It worked. So that was 2016, and that business ended up spreading all over China. We replicated that model in 12 cities, something like that.
Wow.
what does the outdoor industry look like in China?
I was just going to ask, because when I think China, I think manufacturing, I think hustle bustle cities. Is there open
hobbies?
spaces? Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing to remember about China is that they have a middle class of 300 million people, which is the population of the United States, right? So don't think that it's all factory workers and farmers. There's a very sizable middle class who actually have hobbies, have excellent disposable income, and are interested in the more comfortable and funner parts of life. So yeah, but the biggest challenge is green space, open space. The eastern seaboard of China, everything that touches everything down that coast is so populated and so industrialized or so heavily farmed that there is almost nowhere to camp. But if you go inland 200, 300 miles, you hit this kind of range of mountains, and there you actually have green spaces where you can get up and do some outdoor stuff.
Oh, very cool.
And I was lucky. I was living in this town called Hangzhou that was right up against those mountains. So from my door, I could be in the city, and in 15 minutes in a car, I was up in green spaces.
Oh, that sounds super cool. That sounds very cool.
Yeah.
So 2016, you start this. Is DOD still running in China today?
Yeah. So that was nothing to do with DOD.
Oh,
DOD was then and is now distributed by a good friend of mine.
oh, okay.
Our shop sold DOD as a dealer,
Got
but
it.
we were not their distributor. We barely knew them. It's just my friend had the relationship.
Got it. Okay.
Our first big partner was Pendleton Woolen Mills. Do you guys know them?
Pendleton, the flannel company, Pendleton?
Yes.
Huh.
And okay, so how does that tie into the outdoor business? That's something I kind of jumped over when you asked about what does the outdoor business look like in China. Asians, and this starts in Japan, but it's true in Korea, China, Taiwan, most of that sort of northern half of East Asia. The way they camp is they do not backpack; they always car camp. They don't quite overland because they don't have the Forestry Service roads, they don't have the public spaces, but they have their Land Rover Defender, or their like Mercedes G-Wagon or whatever, and they get a big, comfortable tent and a bunch of furniture, and they go out someplace beautiful. There's not the big open spaces. They can't drive and camp, but they find someplace beautiful. They set up camp for a week. They hang out with their friends and family. They talk, they chat, they drink, they cook fabulous meals, and they just enjoy nature, which is a big contrast to the way we do it. It seems like we're always moving through nature. You're hiking and camping, backpacking and camping, or you're overlanding and camping. They pick a beautiful spot and they stay for a week.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So interesting. Like
when you say furniture, what do you mean by that?
I mean that you don't eat on your knees. You bring a folding table, a camp table that you unfold and set up, and you actually eat off a table. And when you cook on cast iron or copper,
as opposed
and you sit
to
in
us, we cook on our tailgate and eat on a paper plate.
yeah, or out of a tiny aluminum pot, right? Where maybe you guys do it better, but a lot of Americans when they're camping, they're doing like instant noodles and
my dinner's out
reheatable
of a
pouch
bag.
meals and stuff.
Yeah, Jose is the pouch meal guy.
Yeah.
Well, let's not
But when Japanese go out, they go out with like meat skewers and fresh vegetables, and they really cook because they're not busy moving from spot to spot the way we do. Then they have all day to just hang out, chat, cook, eat, drink.
That's very cool.
Go ahead.
I was just saying it's interesting listening to you tell the story of how as a culture they experience the outdoors and the similarities and contrasts with we'll say what the West Coasters do. It's super interesting to me to understand those differences in cultural experiences, some of it based on the fact that they don't have vast open land and they don't have the infrastructure and they don't have those things, but they're still driven to go out and experience the outdoors in whatever capacity they can.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe even more so than we are, because their cities are so big. If you're in the center of Shanghai, if you want to see a natural landscape, it's a 2-hour drive. Like you can't just pop out to the local forest the way you can in Seattle.
Well, it's like that in
or
LA.
Or LA.
In LA, it's like that, but if you're sitting in traffic for 2 hours,
Yeah.
you've only moved 30 miles.
But in
Yeah.
LA, there are still parks. There's still
Yeah,
Griffith
you still
Observatory.
see
There's
trees
still
and stuff.
there's still places you can go to get.
He said landscape.
I'm just, yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Nah, it's not that. It's certainly not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, would you consider the high desert? I guess I got away from the city.
It's
I
all the
guess
landscape, yeah. So 2016, you start the outdoor business that flourishes. Then you move out to Seattle here.
Well, just quickly, the brands we were carrying in China were all Western brands coming into China.
Oh,
So Pendleton Woolen Mills was the first. We became a distributor, not just a retailer.
okay.
And the first brand that we became the distributor of was Pendleton Woolen Mills. And that reflects the type of camping Chinese do, because Chinese aren't looking for a tiny little technical sleeping bag that gets this small, and goes down to -20 and whatever, because they don't camp like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about the size or the weight because they're going in a car. So they take wool blankets, and Pendleton makes the best wool blankets, and they take feather pillows, and they take nice, like, comfortable stuff when they go out because they're car camping. So we did Pendleton. Do you know Spring Bar Tents?
No.
Spring Bar Tents, it's a Salt Lake City company. It's an old Boy Scout tent from like the 60s.
Oh.
And then a couple years ago, these young guys kind of joined the company and reintroduced it to the world. And it's this now like wildly trendy tent. It's like, you know how designer sneakers, they have drops? They'll be like midnight. The Nike goes on sale and they're out like that. 200 pairs are gone. Spring Bar has to do that because their tents are so hot. They'll do like a drop on Wednesday and the servers will crash because so many people are using it.
Kidding.
Yeah, I gotta get one now.
We drop an episode every week. We don't crash any servers.
We don't crash
ever.
Any servers.
Except for ours.
Yeah, except for now my browser. Yeah. So, wow, that's super interesting. Like just the.
It's almost as if the Asian culture is like they intend to go outdoor, set up a base camp, and stay there, and then pack up everything and then leave. Whereas compared to here, it's like we're trying to experience different areas of like the outdoor, like okay,
how much can we pack in one weekend?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. If you do some section of the BDR, your whole point is to move through the countryside and see all those different things. But in China, you can't do that because there is no BDR. There are no Forestry Service roads. You have to. There are pockets of beauty. They're not strung together like the Cascade Mountains from Canada to California. So you pick your spot and then you stay there. But what you do with your time there is you go on day hikes, you go on, photo shooting, bird watching, fly fishing from that base camp.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're still getting up to DOD. We haven't gotten there yet. So what happens?
Yeah, so
what happens after that?
We ended up with 12, it's always changing, but 12 or 15 brands that we were the distributor of for China, and some of those brands for all of Asia. And the company's called Great Outdoors. Great is spelled with the number 8, GR8.
Okay.
Only because that's the URL that was available when we were naming the company. So COVID hits and I had to leave. Now, Great Outdoors still runs. I spend 2 hours on the phone every day or in video conferences like this, managing the business in China, but I've got great managers in China and they take care of things largely. But I was back in the States and we'd been friends with DOD. Eventually we became good friends with DOD in China because a lot of our products partnered well together. If you're having a DOD tent, you want a Pendleton blanket, So we were doing a lot of cross promotion. We knew each other well. And we always said, wouldn't it be nice to someday find some way to work together? Well, when I landed back here and looked around, I thought, man, the States is missing DOD. So called them up and they went for it. And we launched them here 12 months ago. It was June last year. So 13 months ago now.
Wow. And I love the idea of bringing a different mindset from that Chinese culture to the outdoor life, the outdoor stuff that we're experiencing, because I'm a firm believer that, and we've talked about it on the show, like we always say, run what you brung, like whatever vehicle you have, whatever tent you happen to have, wherever you can get away, whatever, there's no one way to do this, right? So I love the idea of exposing the States, the US, to a different type of camping that's influenced by that culture, and then now you're bringing the gear that's being used to help facilitate that type of camping, right?
That's exactly right. And I think that for those people who are interested in adopting a new way to camp, we provide a new way to camp, to experience the great outdoors.
Yeah, looking at the website earlier, we'll kind of go through the list of products, but like I noticed the shelters, the structure, the shelters. It's not a pull this tab and 14 poles pop out automatically to create this small bubble for you to live in. It's a shelter. It's like we're going to open up this shelter. It's going to be here for 4 to 5 days, and we're going to fold out some tables and a handful of beanbags, like to where you could just like, I don't even want to set up camp. You're like a mini home in the size of some of these shelters. Is that, I mean,
the intent behind some?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like based on the earlier conversation, like that's the intent. Is like this is base camp for the next 10 days.
Yes, if you're hunting, if you're fishing, if you're, don't want a photo shoot or whatever, it's a base camp. But I mean, the Japanese design of our products is ingenious, and they've been very successful at making these huge structures go up fast and easy. So it's not like, I have friends who do winter hunting trips in Alaska, and they set up insulated wall tents. What takes like 3 hours, 4 hours to get the tent up. So you set it up once, you stay for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that. The big tents, the simpler ones go up in. The size of the tent does not impact the time it takes to set it up, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we have big tents that go up in 5 minutes. I always tell this story. We were caught in a rainstorm, and there were 6 or 8 of us on a way back up a mountain outside of Moab. And we pulled up to camp just as it started raining. It's not supposed to rain there, right? Just as it starts raining, we pull up to camp. But I had this tent, which is 6 meters by 6 meters, up in 5 minutes, because
Wow.
it's literally 4 stakes and 5 poles. 5
Wow.
minutes and up, and we were in out of the rain. It was no big deal. The tent that you probably saw on the website, that one, it takes about 20 minutes to set up, but that tent is really functional. I love to talk about it. It has so many cool features to it and the way you use it.
Is that the Kamaboko super tent?
That is the Kamaboko super tent.
Yeah,
that's right.
This thing, I mean, even the picture on the website, you can see people hanging out in lawn chairs and like it's a total mobile base station for how many people could comfortably fit in that thing?
Okay, so the way you use it is the reason it's called a super tent is not because it's like super like Superman, but it's a super structure. You have the broader tent, and then what you do inside of the tent is adaptable depending on how you want to use it. So think about a dome tent. You go into camp. What do you use your dome tent for? You sleep there.
Yeah.
You crawl in there when it's time to sleep, and when you wake up, you crawl out. If you're modest, you might change clothes there. Maybe you stow your gear. That's all a dome tent is really good for. But these tents, you can use them all day long. So, for example, during the day, there's no floor in the tent. People are question that, like how can you have a tent with no floor? But if you have a floor in your tent, you can't walk in and out with your boots on. It's too dirty, right?
Yeah.
If you have a floor in your tent, you don't want to use a lot of furniture inside the tent because the chair legs will wear holes in the floor of the tent.
And I think that's because most people think tent, and now they lay a sleeping bag on it, and therefore I must have a floor. If you have a cot or a sleeping structure or a hammock or something, and you're off the ground, you don't need a floor.
Well, inside of that super tent hangs, only when you need it, a sleeping chamber that you can zip yourself into, and that has a floor. But during the day, you don't hang it because it only takes 2 minutes to put it up. You wait till you're ready for bed and put it up, because you want to use that space during the day as a place to hang out, to have meals, to cook.
Yeah, and
it's got
multiple entry points. It looks like you can come in and out from the sides, from the ends.
All walls zip out. You have the choice of nothing, a bug, a mesh, or a rainproof.
Dude, that's my biggest concern is what are the zippers like? Because I am notorious for going through tents because the zippers are trash.
If you need someone to be a quality tester to see if bears can break your zipper, just fly Matt up. He'll go and get angry.
That's because we get our tents from Walmart.
Yes.
Or Big Five.
Yeah.
No, the stuff's all overbuilt. It's meant to last. Top quality, bulletproof zippers.
Yeah, and so you've got, if you guys go to DODOutdoors.com, and there's a ton of different categories, but right now we're talking about the shelters. Like I like the Kamaboko super tent, the middle one, and then there's a small, there's a medium, and then there's these Hexatarp and Itsuku tarps, recently, over the last year, we have found the value in awnings, in shade, essentially. Prior to a year ago, none of us had awnings. Nobody cared. It was like, whatever, it's hot outside. We did a trip where it was 120, and the minute one of those awnings went out, like Jose was the most popular person on the trail. It was like that awesome. And I'm looking at these hexatarps, and the downside of the awning is it's attached to your vehicle, right? The hexatarp and the Itsuku tarp, how easy is it to get to deploy those and get those up and running? Because that's like an instant awning.
They go up in 5 minutes, but honestly, most of our tents go up in 5 minutes. So it's not like they go up a lot faster, because most of our tents are 6 to 8 stakes and 2 poles or 4 poles. And those tarps are 6 stakes and 2 poles. So
got it.
So it's not a lot faster. But speaking of the sun, I just got back from Overland Expo Northwest.
Oh,
Bend.
Did you?
Yeah, I just got back Sunday night.
Wow.
So 2 days ago.
Wow.
And that sun in Bend is ferocious. It's punishing.
I was there last year, and me being a dumb Southern California kid, born and raised, right? I was like, oh, it's Oregon. It's green and trees, right?
Right.
But there's no smog to block the sun's rays. and I'm not even, Jose, I like the first day, because I was there for 4 days. The first day, like halfway through the day, I was like, I need to put some sunscreen on. And then after that, I coated myself with sunscreen because it felt like the sun was more intense in Bend than it is here, even though it's hotter here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was only 90 degrees, but the sun was so strong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbearable.
Did DOD have a display, or were you just visiting?
Yeah.
And checking?
So, but I would argue that we may have been the most popular display at the show because of the way DOD works, because we're all about comfortable camping. So I had that Kamaboko tent, that great big tent set up. I had all the awnings deployed off the sides of it. So we had a huge shaded area. And 90 degrees in the shade is actually not that bad when you have no humidity. Mm-hmm. It's only when you're out in the sun. And then because we camp comfortably, we had our Anchor solar panel set up with Anchor batteries running fans. And we were just chilling in there. We had, tables and chairs set up. We had an Anchor. Anchor just came out with this powered refrigerator, 36-hour battery. But I was running it off a solar panel, so it lasted all weekend.
Oh, wow.
And so we had a big cooler full of cold drinks, and people were like staggering under the sun at midday. And our setup became like the place to be. It was just like congregation central. It was always full of people because people were coming in because it looked so comfortable to be there.
I could see it, man. Just looking at this tent, looking at the awnings, looking at the shelter page on the DOD website, all super functional. All even the Ichi one pole tent, which just looks like a teepee, or just looks like a imagine a teepee. Like they all look like high quality, simple structures. Am I off? I mean, is there something there that, I don't know. What would be the best way for you to explain that to someone that hasn't physically seen it?
Oh man. Where to begin? The functionality of a tent, if you want it to be more than just a place to sleep at night, it has to be easy to move in and out of. So these great big doors.
Yes.
You can't get down and crawl. You can't have to go up a ladder. Like rooftop tents are great, but you need a ladder to get into them. So how much time are you spending in there? You just crawl up there and go to bed. If a tent is easy to move in and out of, then people will move in and out of it, and they'll spend time there. You have to be able to stand up in the tent, because what are you going to do? Go in there and just, kneel, crawl around? So you need a tent that's big enough to stand up in. And then the tent needs to have space to actually hang out and feel comfortable. You don't want to feel claustrophobic and cramped. So these tents, they're made to be great big doors, big footprints, tall ceilings, so that you can actually spend time in them. And that means that during the day, it's a sun tent, or if it's raining, it's a rain tent, or if it's buggy, it's a bug tent. But when you're in there, you're not suffering for it. It's not like you crawled into a dome tent and zipped yourself into a little coffin. You're in a big room.
It's so funny you say that. We've told this story before, but one year at Mojave, I took a $30 Amazon 4-person tent, and I had an 18-inch thick air mattress that I blew up in there. So by the time the air mattress was blown up, there was 24 inches from the top of the air mattress to the top of the tent, and my wife and daughter and I would literally unzip it and rifle crawl into it and roll over to it was miserable. It was so bad that I just deflated the tent, the air mattress, and folded the tent in and threw it in the back of the truck. And it's probably it's been thrown away since. So But you're right. Like that's one thing I notice about your tents is that it's not just a single zip, like, 18-inch wide door. The whole panel opens up if you want it to.
That's right.
The mushroom tent. Tell me about that one, because I think that one looks super like more of what you would I don't say expect, but like yes, more traditional. Yes.
Okay, so the mushroom tent is not part of this family, and it's not part of this camping philosophy, not part of the concept.
Okay.
But it's such a cool tent, and it attracts so much attention that we decided to carry it anyway. DOD, the truth about DOD is DOD is one of the biggest camping brands in Asia. They're established in 1997. They're a huge company. They have thousands of products. They've got 20 different chairs. They've got 40 different tents. They've got 7 different cots.
Wow.
When we launched, there's no way we could do it all. So we went down through the broader offering, and we said, for the launch, we're going to narrow this down. And so we picked 3 tents: the Kamaboko, the Kanoko, and the mushroom tent. And the one pole tent.
Yeah.
So the mushroom tent doesn't really fit into the broader concept of this comfortable camping idea, but it was such a cool tent that we wanted to carry it anyway. Mm-hmm. That thing is really that is the perfect music festival weekend. That is the perfect Coachella tent.
Okay.
It only sleeps 3 people, but it's like a yurt. It's like a mini yurt.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the domed roof, but the walls are straight. And that means when you get in, you can sit down all the way back against the wall, and you can sit 6, 8 people hanging out in there.
Oh, wow.
Chatting, whatever, getting out of the sun, getting out of the rain. It's a place to be social. It's a really nice tent for that. Now, I would never take that on a trip up into the mountains, for example. It really is music festivals, kids in the backyard, that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay. So moving on from shelters, I mean, you guys, if you guys go to dodoutdoors.com, there's camp furniture, shelters, sleeping stuff, camp kitchen stuff, carry stuff, fire stuff, accessories. I mean, you've got a whole host of categories that you're selling stuff in. Talk to me about some of the camp furniture stuff, because you've got some real interesting, the Good Luck table and the multi-kitchen table, like some super interesting things that I don't think I've ever seen that look super functional. Okay,
so our number one bestseller, and this is true in the States and also in Asia. In fact, this product is it's our camp chair. It's called the Sugoi chair. Sugoi in Japanese means awesome. So the Sugoi chair, it's the number one selling camp chair on Amazon Japan of all camp chairs.
Wow.
It's a wildly popular product. But so about it, cotton canvas seat, which until you sit in it, you don't really I didn't really think about seating material that much, but synthetic seating material does not breathe the way cotton does. And if it catches a spark from your campfire, you don't get those, frustrating little holes melted in it. It just smolders there. It doesn't burn at all. But the cool thing about the chair is that the length of the legs is adjustable.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking at.
You can make the chair sit lower or higher, but you can also make the front legs long so that the chair reclines, or you can make the front legs short and the back legs long so the chair sits up. And the kind of pitch, I know I sound pitchy when I do this, but I just spent 3 days at Overland Expo saying the same thing over and over. Yeah. But you go camping with one camp chair, and it sits high, it sits low, it sits straight up, or it reclines. But whatever it does, that's what it does. It's a low recline chair, and that's perfect if you want to be low and recline. But when it comes time to eat, then what? Right?
Yeah,
chair.
Then you're doing like I was saying earlier. You've got your paper plate and you're leaned back like this, trying to shove it in your mouth.
But with this chair, when you want to sit like that, you can. When you want to stargaze, when at the end of the night, you want to beside the fire, you want to kick back, you can do that. But when it's time to eat and you want to set up to the table, you can adjust the legs, and then you're sitting up straight and you can eat. That chair, it's an example of sort of innovation that DOD is chasing in outdoor gear, camping gear, because it solves that problem that I didn't even know was a problem, but it solves that issue that when you're in camp, you can now sit in as high or as low and as forward or as back as you want. You can be comfortable all the time. One chair.
Because I think so. Going back, I bought some chairs on Amazon for our family trip. I bought 3 of them, one for me, one for my wife, one for my daughter. My wife and my daughter hate them. They absolutely, because they're very low, they're very leaned back, they're very like, you know, I gave it
as a heavier guy, they seem very dangerous to me.
I gave one to Jose. He hates it. So if that's the only chair you got, you kind of have to just sit there and listen to your wife complain about it. But I like the idea of having the versatility of the comfort first, and then the versatility to do different things with your chair, because most chairs aren't like that.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think that there's a broader issue that Americans, for some reason, tend to go camping with backpacking equipment. You know what I mean by that?
Expand. No.
Yeah. So when you are backpacking, you care about size and weight. You care that the tent or the chair or whatever is not going to let you down. It has to be high quality, but it does not have to be super comfortable. Like the primary factor you're choosing for is size and weight.
Mm-hmm.
You want a camp chair that packs up the size of a water bottle.
Mm-hmm. That
is not as comfortable as it could be, is secondary. It's just great that you've got a chair in camp that you can actually carry up a mountain.
That would be the exact description of those chairs I was just telling you about. They fold into a little bag this big, but when it came time to actually, so they're small and they fit in the truck, but it came time to actually sit, they were shit. They didn't do shit for you. They were horrible. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but when we car camp or when we're overlanding, we don't have those same restrictions. It doesn't matter that the chair weighs 5 pounds instead of 15 ounces,
mm-hmm.
right? And our chairs, generally DOD products, they're heavier, but they do still pack tight. So like that Kamaboko tent, the massive one, that thing packs up like a gym bag. Really? You know, it's not huge. And that Sugoi chair packs flat. So there's always some space between your gear where you can slide in that
mm-hmm.
flat pack chair.
Mm-hmm.
So it is heavier than you would ever use for backpacking, but at the same time, it packs up tight, so you can always fit it somewhere in your rig when you're overlanding.
That makes sense. I'm looking
and then you don't sacrifice.
If you go to the website, you can look at that shows the little bag that it's in, and that's not what I would have expected.
Yeah.
And then so again, going back to like some of the different things that seem innovative that I've never seen, you've got the Ichi one pole tent, which is like a circular tent that has multiple sizes. You can change it for varying sizes. You've got the good luck table. There's a lot of stuff here that's like, I'm looking at it, and the fact that you had given us the description of what camping meant in that culture, this makes sense now. This absolutely, like a table that has some drawers underneath it and storage and fold, like it's going to be there for a week. Like that makes perfect sense to what you're describing in that culture. And these things look really, really cool.
But it doesn't have to be there for a week.
No.
The real deciding factor is not like there are types of camp that are such a pain to set up that you would only do it if you're going to be there for a week. That's not this gear. This gear goes right up.
Yeah.
The limiting factor for our gear is weight. You would never put any of this stuff on your back.
Got it.
Okay. It's just too heavy, but it packs small. So if you're overlanding, you can absolutely use this stuff.
Yeah. So
everything here, it's heavier than camping gear, than backpacking gear, but it packs small and it sets up fast.
Yeah.
So you actually create a camp like you see in those pictures in half an hour.
Yeah.
So
all the gear.
Yeah. I don't backpack at all. I don't like walk into my truck, my car every day. Like, so when we go camping or whatever, overlanding or, we essentially I'm concerned with space. I want to be able to fit, and weight isn't as, there is some concern, but not like, this if it's 5 pounds as opposed to 2 doesn't matter to me at all, but the comfort level definitely seems intriguing to me, because again, I agree with you as far as chairs are concerned. We do spend a lot of time in the camp, around the campfire, trying to relax after four-wheeling maybe all day, and if I can get a more comfortable chair and it just costs me a couple of pounds or something, yeah, that's absolutely something I'm into. And then as far as a larger tent, it is like how fast can I put it up and how quickly can I put it down? And the size of the bag that it packs into. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have to like fold it up like they did when I first pulled it out. It's got to have some, room to get back in there because, that's another frustrating thing at the end of a long day, or you've been camping for a couple of days and you're trying to get the stupid tent back in the bag. I hate that. And then
I don't want to digress, but I want to say I love that we're live streaming Casey feeding his son.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we do. A couple weeks ago, my wife
this is dad life right
dad
here.
life, yeah.
Joe.
A couple weeks ago, my wife was traveling, and I had to go pick up my daughter and take her to her dance class and stuff. I rolled in halfway through the show eating my McDonald's while the guys were finishing up the interview. That's what we do. But to expand on what Matt was saying about the comfort level and stuff, like I look at the Good Luck table and the multi-kitchen table. My current kitchen camp setup thing is a tailgate and like 2 totes. And but
that was something. Remember, we tried a product for somebody, and it was like a camping table, and it was a pile of crap.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's not. Yeah.
No. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. But I think that might have deterred our thought to, it'd be nice to have a table. Well, because this thing was so crappy, it was oh man, forget that.
What I like about I keep going back to the Good Luck table. So it packs down super light, super small, folds open, and then it's got storage underneath it. So you get to camp, and all of the things that you're like, okay, I'm going to need this for the day, for the next 2 days, just goes in that storage. It's easily accessible, as opposed to jumping in the back of the truck every time to drag it out of a tote because that's the only place you have to put it, because the only table I have is a 4-foot wide folding table with no storage underneath it. Like that to me, which is, it seems innovative to me, but to the culture overseas, it's like, oh yeah, you can't go camping without one of these.
I tell you my favorite thing about that Good Luck table. It seems so small that it would be easy just to forget about it when you're designing the product. But those storage compartments have rigid floors. So when you set something down in there, it doesn't topple over.
Really?
And to me, like I use that for food prep. The legs on that are adjustable, so you can make it hip height, and it's great for food prep. So I have all my spices, all my stuff down in those compartments, and they don't just tumble around. They actually stand up and stay where I want them to stay.
Yeah. On the next one down on the website is that the multi-kitchen table, and there's a video of this lady. It's packed. It's this big, and then she just unhooks it, stands it up, and now you've got 3 shelves.
Looks like an old school briefcase when it's collapsed.
Yeah, all of a sudden, boom,
it just accordions out.
Yeah, and I think about like when we go do our thing, it's like I have one of those rolling toolboxes that's my kitchen gear, and I have to go like 3 layers deep to get a pan, and then put those things back to get my spices, and then go back 3 layers deep to get the tongs. Like, and in your setup, it's like just pop it up, set it all up, you're done. You're good for the next 2 days.
Yep. Organize your stuff, and everything works better in camp.
So interesting. So
you would use that as like a dresser. You
Yes.
would just, and then unpack your bag, like
all his outfits.
all your different outfits. And you probably have your shoes, different
for each
different
day,
shoes,
different shoes for each day.
Yeah, down at the bottom.
What they're saying is I pack a lot of stuff.
No, he's been known to change different outfits the same day.
Multiple outfits. Like, what are you doing? Who cares what you look like?
When
We're
you're
in the middle
this-
of Johnson Valley.
When you're this stylish, dude, it just doesn't happen automatically. You have to
wear
work
the
at it.
same colors. Everything's black or gray.
So moving
Did you change your clothes
on
again?
moving on
to a different gray outfit.
moving on to the sleeping situations. Tell me about these cots. You've got a classic cot and a cool cot and a sleeping mat.
Okay, so the point, my point about sleeping is that for me, it determines how much I enjoy the trip. I mean, amongst other things.
Yeah.
But getting a bad night's sleep will ruin
100%.
the best trip.
Yeah.
And so we make a 4-inch thick self-inflating pad. When you get into camp, you open it up, you flip the valves to inflate, and it goes, and it inflates itself.
What?
Like, I think that's wild tech.
Yeah.
It takes an hour for it to inflate, right? So what's the first thing you do when you get into camp? Where you want to be, you pop open those valves and you just let it go. And then that gets it up to 70% firmness. For some people, they like it softer, so they leave it at that. But then the pillow is the pump. So you attach the pillow to the valve, and you know, when I think about pumping up an air mattress, that's like an arduous task.
Yeah.
That's like a half an hour commitment. But this thing, because it self-inflates, if you let it go for an hour, to get it from 70 to 90% is like 5 pumps. So you take that pillow, you just smash it 5 times. I roll it actually.
Oh.
And 5 pumps and the thing's up to 90%, and you can, you know, bounce a quarter off it. It's just, it feels like, to me, it feels like memory foam.
Oh, interesting.
And it's, man, like I'm 230. When I lay down on that thing, I don't touch the ground. It's fantastic. And it's, you know, in an air mattress, when I lay down, my wife kind of like shoots up to the roof, right? She trampolines up, but it doesn't do that at all. When someone lays down beside you, don't even feel it. It's not that kind of a mattress.
Interesting.
And it packs up small, you know, you roll it up tight, and we have these compression straps with it that really pack it down. It doesn't take up a lot of space. But you get that bed. I use that bed at home for guests. When we have too many guests, we overflow the guest bedroom. I throw that thing down on the floor. Nobody complains. It's a great night's sleep.
That is super cool. And the cots, at least the cool cot and the classic cot, I like that they're like, especially the cool cot, like pretty low to the ground. It's not like high and wobbly. It's very low to the ground, and it looks like it's stable and supportive without having a lot of rigid poles down the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. There's no poles. There's just poles on either side, and then we use tension to hold them apart. The legs are under tension, pulling the 2 poles apart to give you a firm bed.
So I don't have like poles jabbing me in the ribs in the middle of the night?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, I have a 7-year-old that jabs me in the ribs. When Tammy's traveling,
get her own tent. Get her the mushroom tent.
Well, I'm talking about at home. When Tammy's traveling, she sleeps in the bed with me. And I swear last night, totally off topic, sorry, but I swear last night I woke up like this. And she had somehow jammed her knee in my ribs and then dragged it down across my spine. Had to throw her across the other side of the bed.
I paid her to do that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I owe her $20.
$20. So these what's the? I'm sure I could find the dimensions, but like how big are they? They look.
I'm going to say they're 6.5 feet long by 2.5 feet wide. They're cot sized.
Okay,
you don't have to worry, Cody. You don't have to worry. You'll fit in them.
Yeah, no. I was thinking like, you know. So
you have to ask.
No. To be honest with you, I was thinking about the swag tent that you have and how we've talked about putting a swag tent on top of the cot like this and how comfortable that would be in this setup, especially the way the classic cot and the cool cot are set up, because it doesn't have the typical partitions of poles, right? Let's see what else. You've also got a camp kitchen stuff in here. I mean,
hold on. I got one more product in sleeping that I love to talk about. It's the Wagaya sleeping bag. It's a quad bag. It's a 4-person wide bag.
What?
Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, it's a big bag.
All right. So here's my background story on that bag. It was summer. It was hot. It was calling for hot weather for the whole trip. So we went up with really light gear, and my boys were 18 months old at this point. And when we went to bed, it was hot. It was 85 in camp at 10 p.m. And the boys were sleeping separately from us with very light blankets on. And I woke up at 3 a.m, and it was sub 40 degrees in the tent.
Oh my God.
And I was on the verge of hypothermia. I could barely like get myself together.
No.
And it freaked me out because I knew the boys were not warm.
Yeah.
So I burst out of bed. I'm trying to warm myself. I scoop them up. I'm like rubbing them, they were fine. Right? They were totally fine.
Yeah.
But it scared me to death. And ever since then, I just had this, a little bit of anxiety about the boys when they were young, sleeping separately from us in camp, because you don't know if he's going to like crawl out of his sleeping bag, or what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So I loved having that Wagaya bag because now I can get the boys in the bag with me. I always know where they are. Yeah. They shuffle out of the bag. I can grab a leg and yank them back down in there.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about the bag, I don't call it a sleep bag, I call it a sleep system, which is a little pretentious. But the reason I call it that is because it's a quad bag, but you can unzip the 2 halves and you get 2 queen size quilts.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And each of those quilts zip back together into a double bag. So it's one quad bag or 2 queen size quilts or 2 double bags.
Yeah, I love that because I mean, similar. You know, when we would go camping with Presley, it was always like, all right, whose sleeping bag is she gonna be in, yours or mine? You know, when she was younger, for similar reasons. Like, okay, I want to. Someone needs to know when she's, you know, because I could just see her getting up and walking out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
What's it rated to? Because I'm trying to look.
It's not. It's a summer bag.
Oh, it's a summer bag.
It's
Okay,
like
I got it.
50 degrees, something like that.
There it is.
It's not meant for foul weather. But once you get 4 people in that bag, like it's toasty. It is. It can be very warm,
especially if you pick the right 4 people.
See, we can share. We can all share. Sleeping bags.
I'm just saying, there's 4 of us on the show.
Yeah, I tell you, we get emails from polyamory people.
Yo,
this is just what we've been looking for.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
we run in the same circles.
Yeah, I think there's a product test in the future of the four of us taking selfies in the Wagayu bag. So okay, going on to the camp kitchen, you've got the Cooking King, which looks like an amazing thing. Some more table stuff, a fire pit. Like, what is let's talk about the fire pit. So tell me about that, because that looks like a propane.
No, it's wood burning.
Oh, check that out. Yeah, as soon as I opened it up. Yeah, that's a very cool. Ooh, I like your diagrammatic video on there that shows it coming apart. And so that's a wood burning mini, like a mini fireplace.
Smokeless. Is that a smokeless?
Exactly.
Setup?
Do you guys know about you down with secondary combustion?
I am not a smart person.
Can you
I'm
explain
not.
what it is?
Secondary combustion.
So let me give you the.
I had 2 burritos. That's secondary combustion, as far as I'm concerned.
Or primary.
When a fire burns, it sucks in air from the bottom.
Okay.
And as that air moves up through the column of fire, all the oxygen gets used up. So by the time you get to the top of the fire, it's not getting full combustion because there's not any oxygen there. And that's why you get smoke and ash.
Okay.
Like those are the byproducts of incomplete combustion. So someone worked out, and you see it in solo stoves, and you see it in this stove of ours, that if you run fresh air up the outside of your firebox and shoot it back in at the top of the fire, then you fully combust all of that fuel, and it doesn't come out as smoke and ash. It just comes out as light and heat. So when you burn that thing, you can burn that thing for 6 hours. You get like 2 tablespoons of ash. It's unbelievable.
No,
because it's so complete. And the benefit of that is that you don't spend a lot of time in camp gathering firewood. I mean, a bundle of sticks burns all night.
Oh wow!
You know, you can't conceive until you use these secondary combustion stoves. You can't conceive of how much of the fuel is being wasted because of this incomplete combustion. And when you really can burn it all, you get so much more out of it. So it's a tiny little firebox, and you just feed twigs into it, and it just burns.
That makes total sense, and I'm super impressed because it looking at it, you would go, okay, that's a cool individual camp, firebox or whatever. But I mean, I could see what you're saying, like the technology behind it, making it more efficient. Because that's, I mean, let's face it, that's, the campfire is where we all congregate. And sure. There's a meme that says, do you have any special skills? And it's the guy that moves his chair around the campsite, and everywhere he goes, the smoke follows. Like, that's how I feel every campfire. Right.
Yeah.
So that eliminates my special skill.
There's a real strong leave no trace ethic in Japanese camping.
Okay.
They have such a pristine forest there that you don't just throw up a campfire ring and start burning.
Yeah. We need more
so that's what we are only carrying one of them here, but they have DOD has a whole line of they're flat pack. They're all flat pack. They're the side. They look like a mid-size envelope when they're packed up.
Wow.
Perfectly flat, just thin.
Well, and that's something that's similar. What it looks like, and that, Cody kind of mentioned it. It looks like a little firebox, a little propane firebox, and that's something that we see more common. But that, they don't pack up tight and small like that. Plus, you got to bring a tank, to fuel it. So
typically Like you're seeing now the fire pits that are like the 4 pieces of 2 foot by 3 foot metal that kind of clip together, right? Those are big and clunky, and they don't have the secondary combustion technology.
Well, no, that's just a ring from, keeping drunk people from stumbling into the
yeah,
fire.
yeah.
I mean, what is that really doing,
Yeah.
This is actually like an efficient system, and I'd be interested to see how much heat and light it radiates compared to, again, like those little propane things,
Mm-hmm.
Probably very similar or maybe even better.
And this is unlimited, though. Like, as long as you have twigs and sticks, whereas the propane is very finite.
Well, that's something else we're used to bringing is bundles of wood that we, it's like we typically, it seems like we go camping and it drops down to the 20s at night and we're burning those logs and still standing like right on the edge of the fire trying to maintain warmth. But
yeah,
this would still be really, I just like to see, I wonder how effective they are at like radiating heat. It seems like light is not a problem.
No. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd mentioned earlier, I feel like what you're doing is broadening the perspective with these tools and this gear, broadening the perspective of what a campsite can be versus, to your point earlier, super small and light, clip together things that just get the job done, as opposed to a more comfort focus. And even looking at every one of the things that we talked about in that list of things on products, you mentioned on every single one of them about how tightly they pack down, right? And so if we're going back to your analogy earlier about using backpack equipment for overlanding, if they're packing down compact enough, that's all that really the weight isn't really an issue. It's always, for me, it's always space, right? So you guys DOD has the innovation to figure out how to get it small, make a very small footprint in the truck. So if I'm looking at the option of a backpacking tool and a DOD tool, and size-wise they're comparable, and the only difference is this one's a little bit heavier, but it gives me way more comfort. Like, that skews my perception now of what a proper camping tool looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What all kinds of camping gear should be. There's this, the concept of type 1 and type 2 fun.
I think I've heard it, but tell me anyways.
Type 1 fun is fun while you're doing it. Going to the movies, eating popcorn, that's fun to do. Type 2 fun is a drag while you're doing it, but you look back on with pleasure because it was such a great experience, even though in the moment it was not nice. And I think that a lot of people in all kinds of camping are type 2 funning. They're like, well, camping is where you go out and suffer. You're supposed to be cold. You're supposed to be on the hard, rocky ground. You're supposed to eat crappy food,
Yeah.
And the point of and if you want to do that, go for it. Eat crappy food, get a bad night's sleep, eat cold, fine, But the concept that DOD is trying to get across is you don't have to do that. We can make gear that you can put up fast and fit in any rig, any car camping situation where you will get a good night's sleep. You will sit on a comfortable chair. You will have everything you need to make a great meal. You don't have to suffer. Camping can be type 1 fun.
All our trips are definitely type 2.
Yeah, we're always type 2.
I first heard of that type 1, type 2 from Steven Ranella. I don't know if you guys know who that guy is.
The meat.
But he compared it to, like, type 1 was like a roller coaster. Right? Roller coasters are a blast, but how many? Can you look back at a time that you rode a roller coaster where type 2, like he said, was it totally sucked the whole time, and you look back, he said, "Remember how much that sucked? That was so much fun."
I think a lot of our trips are more type 3 fun, where it's pretty shitty when you're doing it, and when we get back, we hated it anyways.
Yeah, we're like, what are we doing?
we regret it the whole time.
But I think from this
We
conversation,
created a new type of fun.
the number one thing I think about, or things that were discussed, is one, I think I do use like a lot of hiking, camping type stuff. And it's like, why am I?
As soon as he said it, I knew. I was like,
yeah,
shit.
like I use those.
I'm
like,
picturing all the stuff in my
fold
chair.
Yeah, the chair, number one, and like the cooking gear, where it just folds up really tight, and it's like, why? I have a truck. I could have nicer stuff than that.
Yeah, you have a truck and you don't have anything in it but a cooler and a tote full of toilet paper. That's all you bring with you.
Used to bring that
the cooler's full of
Coleman
beer.
grill thing.
But I think to your point, Matt, yeah, as he was explaining it, I was thinking about the gear in the garage in my cupboard, like, oh yeah, that's backpacking, that's backpacking. And what's crazy is when you go to Amazon and you search for camping stove, camping whatever, it's always that stuff. It's always the aluminum pole snapped together. I don't want to say flimsy, but like backpacking, where it's more about being light than efficient.
Amazon likes that stuff because Amazon gives free delivery.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
I think about, like, I had that grill. It was like a tailgate grill. It was kind of awkward, but again, I could have like learned how to pack it better. But that's how I cooked my, like, whether it was carne asada, burgers, dogs, whatever. And it was a grill. It was like, you know, I could have cooked steak. I could have cooked whatever. And for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? I lived in an apartment, you know, back in that's what I got it for, or for tailgating. But then, so I got rid of it. It was like, I'm moving on. And I bought a Coleman stove and I bought camping crap. And it was like, I hate all this. I hate cooking food on this Coleman thing. I went and bought another grill because I missed having that ability, you know. And again, it was like, why did I do that? You know, because I needed camping, cooking stuff. Like that's what I thought, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a Coleman camping stove set, you know. Ooh, look at me. And yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah, that was definitely dumb.
Anybody looking to buy a Coleman stove, go ahead and reach out.
So what's circling back to DOD and kind of the 12 months that you guys have been in business since you launched here in the States, like what has been your assessment of the feedback you've gotten from this we'll call it a new style or a different style of campsite gear?
If I don't get the chance to deliver the message, nothing goes. Nobody's buying that massive tent because what's their experience of massive tents? Think about this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you exactly. We have the expert right here because my brother here has purchased 16 of those massive tents. Every one of us has gotten dragged into helping him set up the massive tent. And then every one of us has watched him throw it away at the end of the week because it fell apart.
But I've learned, though, I haven't bought one of those tents in a long time.
Yeah, 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Three-room tent, $99. Walmart special,
yeah.
Right? Lasts a season. It's hell to put up.
It doesn't
work right.
A trip. Yeah. One trip.
Before we had the youngest, now it's been me, my wife, and my son. 3 people. My wife always picks out the 14-person tent. What? I'm the one that has to set it up. I don't want that tent. It's only $2.99. Whatever. And we get it, we use it 3 times, and then something snaps, breaks, and then it's in the garbage at the desert bar.
Yeah.
And then I go buy another one.
Yep.
But I'm done with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's people's experience with big tents. When I show them a big tent, they're like, oh, yeah, I've seen those in campgrounds. I'm not using that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to get over that hump of, think about in backpacking gear, there is a full range of low to high quality in the States. If you want to spend $5,000 on a tent, someone will oblige you. You know, you can find that tent. But in the States, camping gear, car camping gear is almost universally garbage. And so when people think about, I think that's a lot of what drives this, that people use backpacking gear to car camp or to overland, is because they know that's where the good gear is. So we're trying to fill that hole in that segment of the market of the high-end camping gear. But the first hurdle is convincing people that there is such a thing, that category exists.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get somebody's attention and walk them, like at Overland Expo this past weekend, if I could grab that guy and walk him into the booth and no one, I didn't see the benefit of not having a floor in a tent and how that completely changes how you use the tent until I started camping with that tent. Mm-hmm. And when I say we don't have a floor, we do have a floor. It's just removable. So during the day, you don't put the floor in. In the evening, when you want to lounge, you put in the floor, you pile it up with your Pendleton blankets, and you lounge. And then at night, you just clip that removable floor out. It takes 2 minutes, and you clip in your sleeping chamber. That takes 2 minutes, and you convert your tent from, in the day, a living room, in the evening, a lounge, and at night a sleeping chamber, sleeping place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think you hit it on the head there. Like someone sees a tent that size, their immediate reaction is going to be too big, too bulky, too hard, too not worth it until like you get the chance to explain it. And even looking at your website, looking at the picture, going back to the Kamaboko super tent, size small, even though like it looks to me about, all the different diagrams and the chambers and the whole thing and how small it packs into, listening to you describe it.
Yeah, because how cool would it be if we set that up for lunch and everyone gets to hang out under there?
Yeah.
Well, I think another situation too, coming from like dirt biking and whatever, is having an RV or like a toy hauler or something like that, and then there's like bad weather rolls in and you don't have the opportunity to hang out at the campfire, so you get into somebody's trailer, but I mean that's a total different world, than what we're normally dealing with. But in this instance, if you were the guy that had that big tent and there was some weather and whatever, hey, guess what? We can still socialize.
Yeah.
We can all still hang out over here, and everything's, I don't want to say the party continues, but you still have the opportunity to socialize.
Well, looking at the diagrams of the Kamaboko super tent small, again, that's not the biggest one. That's the medium one.
And that is a level 2 thing, because it's like, oh my God, we didn't do a campfire. But then you think back and you're like, dude, remember that time it was so windy?
Yeah.
We had to go into the trailer and hang out.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, and then you remember the stories you were telling at that time. Like, oh, that's when I learned you did that one thing, and then, whatever.
What thing?
Yes.
You had to have been there, Jose, and you weren't.
But am I, looking at the diagrams, am I right that we'll call them chambers, are dividable? You can put a curtain between the chambers to almost create separate rooms?
So think of it, it's a tunnel tent and it has ribs.
Yeah.
Those ribs aren't actually chambers. It's totally open inside.
Yes.
Totally open. But when you're ready to go to sleep, there is a mesh enclosed pouch that clips onto those ribs.
Okay, got it.
Then you zip yourself into that pouch, and it takes up half the tent. So if you have two groups that want to sleep separately, you can put in two of those sleeping chambers. But they clip on, and you only clip them in at the end of the night when you want to actually zip yourself in. The rest, it only takes 2 minutes, so it's no big deal to wait until 10 p.m. to do that. And the rest of the time, you have that big open space.
And that's kind of where I was going, is that with these tents, if you had a group of 2 couples or 3 or 4 people, you could just have one tent. It's like it's the Airbnb in the middle of the desert. You know what I mean? It's like all together in one tent because of the size of this thing and the ability to get in and out and the versatility.
Yeah, there's another way actually to use these, and that is to bring along, if you have 8 guys sharing that tent, in the medium, you can have 8 guys sharing that tent, but you don't want to sleep shoulder to shoulder. You can bring along little dome tents and pitch them inside. Now, if you're going to do a dome tent anyway, why bother have the big tent? Because you can leave off the fly and you don't get that condensation. You don't get that sticky tent sleep. You get a breathing, fresh air tent experience with 8 guys having their own little private sleeping chambers under that superstructure.
That's super cool. Yeah, you've made me rethink the way our campground is going to be set up. Especially with things like this Hexatarp and...
Sign me up for one of those 8-guy camping trips.
8-guy camping trips, yes. Well, only if we bring 2
you got
of
my
the
number,
Wagyu.
Jose.
Only if we bring 2 of the Wagyu sleeping bags. So, there's a 4-pack on either end of the tent.
Do you have a means to ventilate these tents? Because it sounds like...
Oh my God, the methane gas inside that tent is
a
going to
few
be
days.
horrible.
No, you're good. You are good.
A few days of Cody's Frito pie dinners.
I'm sorry,
God.
chili cheese Fritos, not Frito pie. Not Frito pie.
Yeah.
So 12 months. Sounds like P&W was a huge success for you guys. And you clearly have more products available to you from DOD. Have you laid out what that roadmap looks like for the next 6 to 12 months? And is there anything laid out that you would like to share?
Not as such, because I don't want to distract from what we're doing right now. I don't want anybody to wait to buy some tent that's coming at some indeterminate point in the future.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think that about half of DoD's thousands of products are suitable for the North American market.
Okay.
Some of them are very specific to Japanese camping. I got one for you. They make a collapsible steel foot bath. It's a steel water tank that you fill with water, and on one end of it, you make a wood fire inside of a little stove, and it heats the water, and you could take it into camp and have a foot bath.
No kidding.
Look, when you said foot bath, initially I was like, I don't need any of that. But then when you talked about like heated,
I feel like there's
my eyebrow went up.
Okay,
Like,
I
didn't
think
know
like there's a market
that.
here. That translates to the U.S. because people's wives are gonna want.
No. Wives. I'm talking about the next 8-man camping trip with the two Wagayu sleeping bags. There's going to be pedicures at pedicure stations at either end using the DOD foot bath.
I'm ticklish.
But I tell you where I really want that foot bath is on the deck of the après-ski bar at the bottom of the ski mountain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I can totally see that because your feet are all frozen and sore from being in boots.
Yeah, frozen. Exactly.
So clearly the goal is let's focus on what you're doing now, keep getting the word out, and then expand on additional products as they fit for the market and as you find a need for them. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys are long term. Are you guys going to go to any other shows since PNW seemed to be such a big success for you?
So I didn't want to just blast it out and sign up for everything without having tested one. So in the meantime, Loveland is sold out, and I missed Arizona. But Adventure Van, you guys know those shows?
We're going to be at one in Big Bear.
Okay, yes, I plan to be there too. I hope it works out. That's the plan.
Let us. Big Bear is Casey physically lives 20 feet from where that event is going to be.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So when the time comes, if you need help getting down here and getting set up,
it might be 40 feet, but it's close.
Yeah, he lives in Big Bear City. So we'd love to connect with you when you get there because that's October. I think that's a couple months.
Yep.
What other things does the audience need to know about DOD and kind of what you guys are trying to accomplish here in the States?
So this is a strategy thing that is not that interesting for consumers, but just as a little bit of background, we spent the first 12 months not going to dealers. We only sold direct, and we did that for two reasons. We needed to test which products were going to work in North America. Yep. And you can't do that if you're in dealers. You can't like only stock 5 of something. Yeah. And say, how's it going, guys? The dealers need support. If you're going to carry the product, they need to have that product in inventory. And also we played with prices a little bit. We weren't sure exactly where the prices would land with the market there. So we spent 12 months just testing the market, seeing how American consumers reacted to the products, seeing which products we should carry and how we should market them. And then narrow down on the products we have right now. In that process, we couldn't have a dealer network. So if you want to buy the product right now, it's DODOutdoors.com. That's your only avenue. There's a few products on Amazon. We are right now in the process of rolling out our dealer network. So sometime in the next 3 months, I hope, you'll see us on backcountry.com and you'll start seeing us in the local outdoor gear stores in your area. But it'll be, coming up on Christmas that you actually see that. For now, it's just the website.
Okay. Because we have a couple people that run outdoor stores that listen to our show. How would they become a dealer?
Yeah, so you can contact us at info@dodoutdoors.com. There's also a contact form on the website, and there is a dealer link in the header of the website that if you click, there's a little form you can fill out to apply to be a dealer.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I could see. So going back to what the concept in 2016 that you rolled out overseas, like the idea of having a dealer network that's got the space to throw one of these things up in their showroom for people to come and physically experience. I think that'd be great. That'd be a great way.
It'd be great. I'm not sure it exists. The retail stores just don't have that kind of footprint. I tell you what's more important for me. There is a ecosystem of products that go into this kind of camping. And that is cast iron cookware, wool blankets, Zargus cases.
No.
Are they the aluminum ones?
They're the German aluminum cases. They're mil spec. They're the German military's cases.
Yeah.
They make those jam well.
Those products all go together. So what I really need is to build out this to get a really strong dealer network is to get all those products together in the dealers so people can see that whole picture. When we did the show, at Bend last week, I had Zargus on the booth. And I had a Petromax. Petromax are these handmade pressure lanterns, these old school pressure lanterns. You pump them and they when they burn.
Really?
They're awesome. They're brass. They're wildly expensive, but they're gorgeous. And so I put anchor because I want people to know when you camp, you can bring along power. The batteries are small, they're heavy, but they're small. Solar panels packed flat now, easy to use. I had DOD, I had Zargus, and I had Petromax all there to kind of fill out the picture. This is what comfortable camping looks like. This is how you can do it if you don't want to suffer. And it's doable. It's all there. The products are there.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I feel dumb.
That's what caught my eye. It was a Japanese outdoor company.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, well, it's like because their philosophy on things is way different on everything, right?
And it's super simple. It just rolls off his tongue like comfortable camping. Like why are you not comfortable camping? And I feel dumb.
Yeah, because
I've never even considered comforts in many of my purchases.
Yeah. I mean, I sleep in literally the bed of my truck, like.
You know what I mean? Like
how about, you know what? I'm not even gonna deal with the tent.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping in my passenger
just
seat.
sleep in my passenger seat
of my truck. Yes,
that was the last time I went camping. That's exactly what I did. I didn't want to deal with that stupid tent. Screw it.
Yeah, but I feel like for us, and maybe this is part of the American consumer, the mindset of the American consumer that we need to change. I feel like that. Over the course of our lifetime of camping and stuff, we have purchased backpacking gear that ended up failing us, and it just became like, I'm done with that. Whatever. I'm not even going to bother with that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I can personally say I can't think of anything in my gear set right now that is a quality premium purchase. Right? It was. I have bought the cheapest shit I could buy to get the job done and not thought about whether or not it was comfortable.
We're going camping next week. Time to hit up Big Five.
Yeah.
And stock up on all the crap I threw out from the last trip.
I feel like a jackass for not ever really thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, you think about the amount of money you spend on your rig, it's not like this is a pastime engaged in by people who can't afford to have more quality gear, right? People are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars getting their rig set up, then not to spend an extra $1,000 on a tent and get a really good night's sleep. It's just crazy.
Yeah, 100%. You are 100% correct, and I am 100% guilty of not being that guy. Like what I mean?
You're dumb. You said it earlier.
I'm a very dumb. I'm a really dumb person. And we can go get my wife, bring her in here. She'll confirm. But
leave her alone. I'll go ahead and confirm it for you.
I'm very intrigued.
You just blew his mind.
No, but I'm very, like I said earlier, the idea that you're bringing a different mindset to what we do is very intriguing to me. Like, it's very like, how do we blend this mindset around comfort and efficiency and what it means to be camping and backpacking versus camping gear? And I think all of that is very interesting. I really like the way that you have described the products. Obviously, you've used them and you have an understanding of what they are. And I'd be very interested to get whatever your next event is at, to get people, either us or listeners, to the booth to see it, to physically experience it, to be able to kind of like, oh, now I see what he's talking about. Like, I can imagine it as you're saying it, and I'm looking at the pictures on the website, but I feel like your product is one of those things that, like, once you walk into the tent, you're like, oh, okay, makes sense, perfect sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anybody who's just watch our Instagram account. We always post when we're doing an event, so you'll find out if we're going to be close to you.
Okay. And in the meantime, if anybody wants to check out the products, they can find them on Instagram, or you can go to the DODOutdoors.com and order these cool tents. Somebody on our trip order one, or we need to order one. We need a 4-person sleeping bag. I'm just saying it.
Let's do it. That's
I'm in, you guys.
I don't know that I could sleep with you guys.
4-person bag and some chili Fritos.
Yes, chili cheese Fritos.
And we'll see who lasts longest.
We'll call it the Wagayu Challenge. Look, I really appreciate you jumping on the call with us tonight. This has been a super cool conversation, and like I said earlier, I think your background just getting to this point is a whole nother podcast by itself. Yeah. But I think that your experiences, your varied experiences and varied cultures and all that really lends itself to the way that you communicate these products versus someone that's never experienced it and is just trying to distribute something overseas or whatever. I think it's a very different a different feeling coming from you because you've experienced not only the culture but the product and all of it, and you're kind of trying to expose us to a new mindset. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the chance to come on and actually talk about it, spread the word. Well,
anytime, and if you are doing events down here in California, let us know. We'd love to help out and logistically get you where you need to be, and help set up that tent so we can experience it and check it out. And in the meantime, everybody, please go to DODOutdoors.com and check out their products. And Brent, sir, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
we didn't hang up.
Didn't hang up. Good job. We're gonna end the show there, but we're still streaming live, so keep that in mind.
That four-person summer tent's gonna turn into like a 80-degree winter bag, real quick.
I meant everything I said about kind of this experience and your products, and I'm really really interested in them and the way you talk about them, and I do love the concept of comfortable camping because I really have not.
Yeah, I've never considered that.
Never considered it.
It's always
What's
been
the
like,
bare minimum?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What do I need?
There's like mental preparation. Like, all right, I'm on 4 nights of sleeping. Like, it's gonna.
Like, all right, I just need to know. Okay,
this is a vacation.
You're all sore. Like,
yeah,
food is like, dude, food in a bag.
I need 4 bags of Doritos. Yeah. I'm good to go. But yeah, super cool conversation and really appreciate it. And if you are coming to any of the events down here, like I said, let us know. We'd love to help out and do what we can to support you. So what?
Yeah, I'm up here in Big Bear, so if you're coming to that van thing and you need a hand or anything like that, reach out.
Great, thanks very much. Much appreciated.
So I will edit this tomorrow. We'll get it all edited, and then I'll post it up to the media host. It'll be available for download Thursday morning. So sometime tomorrow, I'll send you an email with the notification that it's been posted. All that's ready to go. I'll create some social media posts that we'll share starting Friday, and you can use those however you want. And then we'll spend the next week kind of driving traffic your way, and hopefully we get you get some new followers on Instagram and some people visiting your website. And we'll do whatever we can to support you guys so that you can get that word out.
All right, and we'll do the same. We'll post links to all this on all of our social media. Blast it out.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll send you that email tomorrow, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, or anytime after this comes out, if you need something, do not hesitate to reach out. We'd love to talk to you again and help out.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
great to meet all of you.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks,
all right.
Brent.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Everybody need a break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a break?
Actually, yeah, I want to get some water. Because it's only like 95.
Yeah, it's only hot boxing in here.
You don't have that old computer turned on in here, dude?
The Chernobyl machine?
Yeah, dude.
All right, everybody, we're going to leave it streaming. We'll be right back.
Wayne, this is like that episode of Mind Erasers. What's up, everybody? I was fighting a baby earlier. He was super fussy, as you saw. I was away. Oh, good. Matt came to save me. Oh.
Dude, it's so hot in this room. I can't. You just walked outside and you walk by the thermostat and it's like, it feels like cold out there. Like, oh, that's what a relief. It's 78 degrees. Like
It's like when it's 100 degrees outside and then you go take a dump in the porta potty at,
and then
like
you
at a
come
construction
out,
site,
yes.
and then you come out and you're like, oh my God, it feels so nice out here.
That's exactly. Why do we record in a porta potty? That's exactly the correct.
Were you guys recording in the 4-person tent this whole time? Or a 4-person sleeping bag?
Yeah, we're doing that challenge right now.
Yeah, exactly. Were you getting harassed by the chat people?
No, I was getting lots of praises and attaboys. I did a little skit from Wayne's World.
Oh. Was it the Milwaukee?
No, it was Wayne.
Yes. Scanners,
Yeah, I like all the
explodes.
stuff on that dude's website, man. It's like, it's not the same shit that like all the other overland companies offer,
Yeah.
right? It's different.
It's probably nice and stuff.
I don't know, Cody. You went for comfort with the tent, right? With the rooftop. Is that not comfortable? More comfortable than any tent you've been in?
Yes, definitely more comfortable than any tent I've ever been in. I don't know if it's more comfortable than the swag tent on a cot.
Really?
But that's not apples to apples.
No, it's not apples to apples. I'm just saying.
Only because you're talking about the ability to fit, 3 people,
Yes,
or one
yes.
person.
If Apple made a tent, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the Tesla tent.
You have camp mode already.
Huh?
You have camp mode.
What does that do? I'll check it out. I'll let you know.
I think it just keeps the temperature wherever you set.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you to Brent for joining us. That was a great conversation. Again, very interesting. The different perspectives, right, compared to what and making me think differently.
Twice about your life.
To
I've been thinking twice about my life multiple times a day.
Our third fun.
Yes, the third fun. So we're going to talk about the Cape Toyota event that we were at this weekend, but I want to start with 2 other things. Show some of the dog swag. So since Casey's not here, he doesn't get any of this. So too bad for you, Casey. But we all got some hats and shirts and koozies from All Dogs Off Road.
This is their new design.
Their new design shirts. They came out really, really good.
Sweet.
And you guys know we love All Dogs. We're very Nissan heavy, and
we're on the verge of being a 3/4 Nissan podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty soon. Going to be 3 out of 4 Nissan only.
Yeah, no Toyota.
No, there's going to be no Toyotas. We'll talk about that too. Right now, I'm a proud Toyota owner because my truck's at the shop getting fixed from when I ran into the back of that Subaru Outback, and I got Jose's Land Cruiser here as my spare vehicle, as my ride for the week. So thank you to the guys at All Dogs Off Road for that. We dig their stuff. Go check them out. They do really good work, and they're fun to hang out with. We got to hang out with them at SEMA.
Good times.
Yeah, very good times.
Was that one of those level 2 situations?
That was like level 4.
Because I do look back, and from what I remember, I had a great time.
Dude, I was hurting by that time, dude. I was like...
That's the level 2 part. Like, what's... I remember the hurting.
I was hurting. I'm like, well, I got 2 options. And obviously, we're not going back to the room yet, so I just got to just go deeper.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. You got to reach down and find another level.
Exactly.
And I was just talking about that because one of the guys at work went to Vegas this past weekend for, like, some MMA convention or something like that. And I think he was staying at the Sahara, and I'm like, oh, my God. We when we were at SEMA last year, we were at this club or bar at the Sahara, and we just walked into the back like private area, like we own the place, and then just took it over, and they just started serving us. And I think that's how we just do things from here on out.
And it was All Dogs. It was Con Media. It was us. It was. I feel like there was 2 other groups there that hung out with it. We all just kind of congregated together.
Mm-hmm. I think it was like we all kind of looked at each other like, oh well, Com Media's here, so it's normal for them to just do that.
That's our legitimacy.
And then like All Dogs was looking at us or like, oh, these fools just go in and they're big dogging, like we'll just hang up with it. We're all just like, yeah, this is how we do it, and we did it. It was great.
That's awesome. Next thing, a very cool event that you'll be hearing more about is we got a bunch of Midland swag from Midland Radios, which includes some radios. Casey doesn't get one because he's not here. No, Casey's is Casey's.
Hey, we're part of the cool kids now.
All of Casey's swag and stuff is sitting here. We'll get it to him next time. So we're working with Midland to do some testing on some of their micromobile products. So we've got a MXT 575, an MXT 500, and 2 of the MXT 275s. So we're going to do an install party here in the next couple weeks. We're going to get these installed in the vehicles, kind of walk through how that gets set up. And when I say we are going to get these installed, I will film Casey doing the work.
Hey, but it's about time. We've been running those Bofangs.
Yes, and
and we could barely even talk on the trail.
Yes,
we're actually going to be able to communicate from one end to the other.
100% agree.
And who got that 575?
This message is for Nicole in the chat room. This is for you only. If you logged on to YouTube, you can see this. That's what I say to Nicole.
We're gonna have to go to Matt's house. We're gonna have to go to Matt's house because the truck ain't coming here.
So no, Nicole, we're not gonna raffle off Matt's because he doesn't have a truck to put it in anymore. But
there might be a raffle.
Before I raffle it off.
But we will be raffling off at least one set of the Midland handheld X Talkers and the Midland emergency crank radio with AM/FM transceiver. So we've also got.
Can I enter that raffle? Because I was pretty bummed that I couldn't enter the raffle for that Cape Toyota thing.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. But yes, so we are going to put together a plan to do some giveaways and raffles. We've got at least one set of these to give away. And
it has to include like reviews on iTunes because we haven't gotten a review on iTunes in
a year.
You're right. We haven't.
And voicemails.
If we gave out the right phone number,
creative voicemail contest. That'd be pretty good.
Which is why we're not announcing the raffle right now because we don't have an idea of what we're going to do yet.
But we're going to do a calendar.
We're going to Oh man, you got to go back to 2018. You got to go back to the end of Christmas of 2018 to learn about why that is such a bad idea.
We need to actually do a calendar.
Actually, you don't need to go that far back to know why that's a bad idea.
We don't. So thank you to Midland for supporting us and giving us the opportunity to work with you guys to do some product stuff. Midland's doing a really good job of working with other members of the community. We're going to try to connect with those people and get them on the show as well.
Can we connect to them with our radio?
Yeah, with the radio on the repeater.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, we can now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what we can do.
What can we do?
Communicate.
Not a lot, apparently.
Bitch about stuff.
It's
so hot in here.
A lot. Okay, so this weekend was the grand opening of Cape Adventure down in Long Beach, California. We have been
real quick. You built out that store?
Yeah.
You did a good job, sir.
Thank you.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Cody did this shit?
Yeah.
Everything.
Measured
twice for sure on a lot of
everything in that store. Every single.
It cost $100,000 to build, though. That's what he said.
No.
I gave him that typical construction. I'd have done it different.
Yeah. Casey walked in and said, looks like it's a little off right here. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
The store turned out great, dude.
The little lights aren't twinkling, Clark.
That I am really, really happy with the way that turned out. That space.
It's a perfect size because it's small enough so where you can see every product that the main products that Iron Man offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's big enough to where you can see them functionally how they work too.
Yeah, and that space. So I went down there early on, and that space was just, they literally had a couple tables there that no one was sitting at, and some like random
Just
wheel
parts.
displays or something, right?
Just
and
some
a TV,
random dudes.
And I was like, "What are you guys doing with that space?" And they're like, "I don't know. It's been like that for years." And so we took a space in the dealership that was literally useless and turned it into a retail location.
Yeah.
And everything in that store, everything in that space, it was either it was all my design and my actual construction, and I had help doing it. Casey, I don't know if you noticed that Brian Ferguson made a comment on the post. He was like, "I remember the guys that built that because our buddy Brian was the fabricator that created took the prototype for the Outpost and turned it into a production." So he and his guys helped us get the kiosk installed, and then my helper and I built out all of the other stuff around the store. Super.
It seemed to me like there was every single product Iron Man offered
Pretty much, dude.
was there.
Yeah. So when we're going back to my employed days, when I would design these stores, it was very much a matter of looking at the footprint of the store and what that space looked like, and then understanding how much space I needed for each category of product, whether it be bumpers or skid plates or lights or whatever, and then figuring out how to make the store change those panel sizes to make the store be able to display enough product to be a good representation of everything in the catalog. And again, all of the stores that got built out, and including that one, I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of what was accomplished there. The future of it is what the future of it is, but and I'm not part of it anymore. The Cape Adventure store so the grand opening was this weekend. They did a really good job of getting it ready to go. I worked with them over the course of the last 4 weeks to do a lot of social media promotion. We had several meetings about organization and what needed to be done, and those guys knocked it out of the park. They did a great job. Of the events that we've been involved in, they were very dialed in. They knew exactly what was happening. They had a ton of vendors, and we've talked about this a little bit. We did 3 raffles on Sunday between 8 and we did one at 9, one at 10, and one at 11:30. Each of those raffles was as good as the final raffle at any other event we've been at. Like we had 100 t-shirts, we had hats, we had swag from Method, from Diecast Talk, from Corva, from Heart Leather Company, from Cornerstone Outdoors, from Magnuson. Every vendor there came
they came
fully prepared,
guns a-blazing.
Gave away a set of Method wheels.
Gave away 2 Iron Man awnings. Gave away Iron Man traction boards.
Like $600 dash cam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dash cam. $700 off a Magnuson supercharger. 2 different $150 discounts on Wed's wheels.
Yeah.
No joke. When they kept bringing, so Joji, the guy that kind of the guy's in charge of the Iron Man store there at Cape, his kids were there helping, and they kept coming back with their wagon and more stuff. And at one point, Casey and I were like, "We got to start separating this stuff. What are we going to do with it?" And we just started making piles for each one of the raffles. And any one of those raffles would have been like, "That's a sweet raffle at the end of the day." But all of them were really, really, really good.
CBI gave a swag bag.
CBI. I just thought of another one too that I didn't mention. That's it slipped my mind. We'll figure it out. But if you go look,
Front Runner.
There you go. Front Runner had a giant pack,
and my kitchen set, like a whole a gigantic box full of a bunch of cool stuff.
There were so many things, Jose. We're looking at we're all the 4 of us are looking at and Nicole was there. Nicole was a rock star. If Nicole wasn't there, none of this would have happened. But they kept bringing stuff over to the table, the raffle table, and all 4 of us were like, "Would anybody know?" Would anybody know?
My thing was, This one got damaged in shipping.
there were so many things that I was like, I want that. But we did.
Every time someone won, I'll buy it off you.
Yeah, exactly. Nicole handled all the registration. So she was a rock star as always. And the way we did it was you scan the QR code and you registered to be in the raffle. All that worked out, except there was some feedback that the the page on the registration wasn't mobile friendly, and it was a Google form. I don't know how to fix that, so I'll work on that for the next time. But raffles went really well. The event went well. They had coffee and donuts there. I feel like we had a lot of listeners show up. We had Mark, Corey, Gary, Sergio. I feel like I'm missing a couple other ones. We had
Andre was there.
Andre was there. Blue Yoda was there. Milk Tacoma.
Bernie
Milk
was there. Yeah.
Bernie. There was a lot of people there that we have interacted with throughout the course of our time on the show that we were just like, right into hanging out.
It's like, hanging out with him, and Cody's like, "You live around here, right?" No, we drove down from Upland. Like, oh, because it's like, there's no way you're like coming down here just to hang out or whatever. Well, I think they were doing something else too. But either way, it was like, what are you doing? I had to be here.
Jose on Saturday when Jose was here and we washed the Land Cruiser and my wife's car and my truck, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get a for sale sign." Sunday, it was the blank piece of paper with a Sharpie marker on it. Like there was
no traction.
Yeah, nothing says I'm serious about selling this vehicle like a blank piece of paper with a Sharpie.
We tried to raffle
zero
it.
information, information whatsoever.
We kept threatening to raffle off his Land Cruiser.
I don't even think he put a phone number on it. It was just
for sale, the price, and my number.
Yeah. And it was like,
it was for sale, SAIL.
Yeah.
Jose, are you saying that was my opportunity to get your phone number?
Yes.
That was the
that
one
was
and only.
the one shot.
One and only.
I'll have to go through all the photos.
It was like third grader writing.
So Jose got some interest on the Land Cruiser. If you are a listener that is interested in the Land Cruiser, it's Jose at trailchasers.net. But
AKA the Monolith.
The Monolith.
A lot of people are going to disown me once that thing gets sold.
I know. Even the owner of Cabe Toyota was sitting there and he's like, whose is this? What's going on with it? And I spent...
You could buy the 4Runner.
I spent
we tried to spin it a different bunch of ways. Like, I'll sell you this awning for $20,000, and then it comes with the Land Cruiser.
You can get the Land Cruiser. The other thing was... By the end of the day, Saturday, when I was like, okay, I got to get everything set up and ready to go, like I grabbed the equipment, and Sunday morning, I felt like, man, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like we're not prepared technology-wise, and it ended up, it just went well because we've done it so many times that we've bought different things, and now we have like one box that plugs into one speaker, and now it works instead of the. Think about the first times we did these.
Too many systems trying to integrate.
Before it was two different wireless boxes, plus the wired-in boxes, plus the mixing board. Now it's like, nope, we have the right things that just plug in. Jose's Fun Box, we didn't promote it as much as we should have, but it still got some
It's because Nicole kept blocking it.
That's right. Jose was Nicole was protecting the Fun Box. I think she feels bad about the abuse you take, Jose, and she's trying to take care of you.
I'm just saying, someone went shoulder deep in that thing.
Yes, they did.
Well, it was pretty much empty, so you had to go deep in order to get to the prizes, way down below, which were majority beach balls, and Iron Man stickers.
We launched the Ivy Lander sweater. That was my absolute favorite part of the weekend. Was the Ivy Lander sweater, and if you don't know what we're talking about, go to Instagram. People are still commenting.
It's borderline creepy the way you kept going on about this sweater, but
no.
Ivy
was that creepy. I wasn't creepy at all. It was fun. She liked it.
It was fun for you. She was cowering down on the ground.
She was having a blast.
Yeah, as you were standing above her with a microphone. And just kept over and over.
She liked it. It was good for her.
You love it.
You love it. Go to Instagram and you can see what I'm
Judge
talking
for
about.
Yourself.
Yeah. If I was creepy, tell me, because I'll apologize to Ivy. I was having fun. Not.
I said borderline.
Okay. Takeaways, Jose. What was your takeaway from Sunday?
Like you said, the setup and teardown went really smoothly
because we got it down now.
Mm-hmm.
But just the event itself was really well ran because like everyone, dude, it was like packed. As soon as it was over, like that parking lot was empty. Like, and yeah, everything was going smooth throughout the day. There's a lot of foot traffic in the new store. No, it was good. I liked it.
Matt.
So I'm going to harken back to the first time we were at Cabe Toyota like 4 years ago. And we were there just because we could get some content and walk around the place because we heard about it, or whatever. And so I think Jose and I walked over to the gas station to get something to drink or whatever. And I was talking about that. Like, dude, the last time I was walking right there, we were talking to Phil Convisor, about I think he had his Colorado or something at the time.
We had the boys and Presley with us.
That's right. And I was like, we didn't even know we'd have our own jerseys 4 years from then, and look at us now. Look at us now. We're setting up, a tent, and we're emceeing the event. We've come a long way since the last time we were out there. We're participating in. We're participants.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just there like, we're just a couple of dudes. We got microphones.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what I took away from it. And then yes, of course, it was very successful. I thought, as far as our how we interacted with the crowd there. We do what we do, hijinks and stuff. I mean, I probably could have done more mobile stuff, with like the sandwiches they were giving away and some donuts, missed opportunities. But other than that, it was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys and, being with the people.
Casey, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was a blast. I think that size show, like that's our wheelhouse, right? Like at first I was like, really only like 4 hours or whatever the show was supposed to go. Like that's not gonna be enough time. It's gonna run late or whatever. But I think it was like the perfect length, like the perfect size too, because it allows so much more like personal like connections. Like we're able to talk to people more than like just swarms, even though there was like swarms and then gaps and whatever.
Yeah, everybody had to walk by our booth at some point. Everybody did.
And like the big shows are fun. Like Off-Road Expo is a blast. If we can have a booth, that's, a whole different story. But like that's our wheelhouse. And I think we have the most fun there. And I think we do the best job at some smaller ones like that. And I think everything went great.
It is fun. Like when we kind of heckle like cool dudes, like,
yeah,
hey bro, you're not
show
too
me your
cool.
guns.
Yeah.
You're not too cool to sign up for this raffle.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Is like we
is he talking to me?
Does
he think I'm cool? That's right, I am talking to you. Get over here.
At one
Jose's
point,
Fun Box. Get your hands in there.
At one point, I was commenting on some guy's Vans, and then we're really good at the off the cuff interaction with people, and to Casey's point, like that size of event where everybody had to walk by our booth at some point gave us the chance to kind of mess with people or interact with people in some way. And it went really well. I feel like we had a lot of interaction and a lot of interest from people that like didn't know who we were and then wanted to learn more.
Apparently I'm hard to miss because I was standing right in front of Cody. And he's like, "Hey, where's Jose? He's supposed to be taking pictures."
Yeah, where's
Well,
Jose? And
because you were wearing your jersey,
Yes.
no one
you
recognized
a
you.
giant orange mountain on your chest. I just couldn't see it.
Dude, it's like I've been standing here the whole time.
Yes. Speaking of which, I need to get those pictures from you.
Yeah, I know.
But I was really pleased with the number of people that were there, the interaction from the people that were there. Everybody seemed to be having a good time. The fact that the raffles were great. There were people that got there at 8 and stayed until 11:30 because we were like, this is what the raffles are. Like there were people that stayed there the entire time. the team at Cave is always awesome to work with. Joji, Brad, those guys are great. Mike's the service manager, and John, the owner, super cool people. If you're a Toyota fan and you're looking for a Toyota company, a Toyota dealer that'll take care of you, go down there, because they will do. They're one of the few that they have in-house people doing suspension lifts and outfitting.
Well, they wheel themselves.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was getting at. Is not only do they do that, then they go and put on what they call their Cave Adventure runs, and you go back to 3-4 weeks ago when we interviewed Brad Hart from there. They put on these runs where they take customers out in their vehicles for 1,200-mile trips, right? So these people are this organization is living and breathing it. They're not just trying to sell a product. They're part of the community, and it shows with the way the event went. So I was super happy with it. Yeah, I would love to. We need to do more. I want to do more of these events. We're going to be at that, as we mentioned earlier. We're going to be at the Adventure Van Expo in Big Bear in October. That's the plan for that one. I think between now and the end of the year, I want to find a couple more events that we can be at, and
Matt, you taking your truck up to the van?
Well, I can get the Tesla there. No problem. That's at Holcomb Valley Ranch, I'm assuming.
No,
it was
No,
downtown.
it's in the village.
Yeah, it's in the village.
Yeah, it was downtown.
Then I'll be able to plug it in and everything. Look at that.
It's in that,
Go ahead
that
and
big
plug
ass
it.
parking lot.
Plug
in
in,
the
bro.
village.
Oh, speaking of plugging in,
Plug into my receptacle.
Speaking of plugging in, and I'm not plugging in anywhere near your receptacle. On July 3rd, we went.
I need to plug into a receptacle.
On no,
I'm not offering my
No.
receptacle.
on July 3rd.
Are you asking about
on
my
July 3rd?
receptacle?
On July 3rd.
No, I plugged in.
Yeah.
Wait, it's got to be your bull.
It's got to be your receptacle.
It's got to be your
on
receptacle.
July 3rd, you guys at the fourth time. On July 3rd, myself, Casey, Zen, one of his buddies, and Susan went wheeling up in Big Bear, and I drove up the mountain. Everything was fine, totally great. I got to Big Bear Boulevard at Pine Knot, like 2 blocks from Bear Valley Overland, and the truck just died. And I don't mean like stalled.
Sounds familiar.
Just died. Completely died.
Transmission done, dude.
Yeah. So
That's exactly what happened to me.
I was all, what the shit? But the thing was, like, no lights, no clicking, the key didn't do anything. I couldn't take it out of gear. Nothing. Shit. So I popped the hood, and this guy pulls up, and he's like, hey, do you need to jump? And I'm like, I don't think it's the battery. It's not just a dead battery, because it's not clicking. It's nothing.
No clicky.
I thought like a main fuse blew or something. Like, so I opened up the fuse box, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing visibly bad there. I'm like touching to see if there's anything super hot, and then I just happened to grab the.
You checked for.
Yeah, but before
hot
that,
temperatures, just touching things.
Yeah, dude,
Dude,
it's
Yeah, that's
July.
fine.
It's July 3rd on Big Bear Boulevard. There were 4 billion people of them. 120
Before
of
that,
them I
he
had
called
just passed on the 330, and they're gonna be pissed off when they get up there, and I'm blocking the road. So
before he figured that out, he called me. I'm on my way to the shop.
yeah,
Hey, come give me a tow.
I'm
What?
like, come get me.
I'm dead. I'm in the boulevard. Hurry up.
Yeah, and then as
Okay.
as I hang up with him, I'm thinking to myself, I can't even turn the key and get it out of gear for him. He would like literally have to drag me to the side of the road. And so while I was looking at fuse and stuff, I grabbed the negative battery cable, and all the accessories. Like there's one post, like that post was loose. And as soon as I touched it, it went click, click, click. Oh, son of a bitch. And I tightened it by hand real quick. Boom, started right up. Got myself out of the boulevard. Got to Casey's shop.
You know, they have pills for that.
And-
those loose-
Don't
loose
you have a
posts.
switch panel?
I do have a switch panel.
Then why are there any accessories other than one going to your battery?
There's more than one switch thing. It's just to the ground. It's the I need to run a separate ground terminal and have everything off of that one terminal, because at the switch panel there's not a common ground at that switch panel relay pack, because it's a cheaper. It was an Amazon version.
Okay.
But anyways, I was super bummed at the truck dying and was like, going to be time to get a Bronco or something. And then it
You're
started.
gonna stick
on
with the
top-
problem. You're gonna stay with the problem.
On top of the bike you just got, and like, what's going on? What are you doing, dude? Did you?
Do
Hey,
you work for the State Department?
wait, yeah, wait a minute. I know what this is. You won the lotto. You won the fucking lotto, and you're just not telling anybody.
There are gonna be signs. If
I'm not gonna. I won't say anything, but there will be signs.
No, I no. And
But on that note, though, like that trip, so we went and did the squeeze, and then what we call Vomit Canyon. I don't know if anyone's familiar. That's actually the first trail that Jose ever did with us.
yeah, that
but-
route we did was basically the route that we did was the September 2018 trip that we.
yeah, but that's not even that bad for it to be called.
No.
no.
Only that half. But the squeeze was far more technical than what I remember it being, and it was super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that area was very fun, and it's called Vomit Canyon because we took a.
No, I know, but
okay.
it's like it's really not that bad.
It's not.
No, there's like one technical spot on that trail, but the squeeze portion of it, before we got to Vomit Canyon, was a lot more technical spots, and it was like super fun.
Yeah, it was a fun little day trip, and then we headed back. I headed back, kind of.
I did the squeeze back in the day in the Renegade.
You did.
Oh,
You
shit.
did. Which thinking back to that, I mean, there's some pretty big boulders and drop offs to be able to handle that in the Renegade.
No problem. No problem for me.
So yeah, I mean, I hope everybody had a safe 4th of July. We obviously didn't record last week because of 4th of July.
How was your 4th of July? You went down. You hung out with the fancy people.
Oh, that's right.
We went.
I'm surprised you made it back. You know, being like in that environment, like, oh, I feel like maybe it was drawing you to a
No, I
permanent
wanted to get the
residence.
F out.
Oh,
I wanted to
okay.
get the F out.
Because
And
I was laying money. I was talking to Monty, like, man, they may not. They
No.
might like it down there. And,
We,
you know, all the hoity-toities.
We left a half hour too late because
see, maybe we should say it's already 8:30, but this sounds like something I could dig into.
just I do not understand the need to let off fireworks. I don't understand.
Because of freedom, bro.
freedom, bro.
That's right.
Casey,
Are you
Casey, hold
anti-freedom?
Casey, hold up your hand.
But that wasn't from a firework, though.
No. The thumb is.
Oh, all right.
Casey blew off his thumb.
Yeah, you can't really see it anymore. The scars. So
Casey blew literally like imagine your thumb is a hot dog and you slice that hot dog with a knife and then opened up the hot dog to see the bone in the middle of it. That's what Casey did with it.
In your face. That wasn't a firework. That was a flare gun.
Okay, you had told us it was an M80.
Suck it.
Regardless.
I said what I had to say at the time.
That's okay.
I'm still alive, aren't
That's okay. Dad thinks I broke my ankle playing over the line. I was on a skateboard. It was 2 days before All-Star practice started.
Oh my. God.
So yeah. So I told Dad I was playing over the line.
Smart.
Point being, like, just I'm not into it, and my not into itness was proven. And we should have been gone. Just people do stupid
You're
shit.
Speaking in vagaries, and there's like something to say.
Just
but it's like, oh, I'm right about fireworks because some shit happened. I'm not going to tell you about it.
it's
A
the,
half hour, and you give a time frame. We know the location. We just don't know what the fuck happened.
In the location you were at.
Yeah, what is this? 20 questions?
Hold on. In the
Is
location.
it a tank?
How many Trump flags did you see in the
Oh,
location?
it's
I
all
never-
Trump flags.
none. I didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
On 4th of July?
In that town? In that town, please.
No.
It had to be like fully engulfed.
So this is the border of Huntington and
I don't.
Hence,
Yeah, exactly. 30 miles in both directions.
point. No,
Maybe
it
not
was
30,
it
maybe
was
not
very back in the residential area, and just people lighting fireworks, and someone tossed a firework at my feet because they thought it would be funny while I was getting
there
in my
it is.
truck.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just
Okay.
it was unnecessary,
All right.
and
There it is.
That's when you pull out the Roman candles and go, "What's up, Holmes?" and then start launching
Yeah.
Roman candles at the guy.
just unnecessary. So
It's called like a nuclear deterrent. That's why I always make sure you have fancy, highly explosive things ready. Yeah, countermeasures.
Just in case.
Exactly. Oh, was that an M80? And then just come at them with the real shit.
Was that person that did that? Was he sober?
No.
yeah.
Oh, he was.
Oh man.
Oh, so now it's personal.
Ooh. At least you could say if he was
They
drunk.
threw
it's
an
like,
Achilles buster at you?
Yeah. So yeah, we were there for a barbecue, and then got out of town and got back home and just laid low, just watched a movie and hung out here. How about you guys? What'd you do?
What did I do for July? I don't think I did anything.
okay. I sat in the pool all day and I drank, which was amazing. It was a good time. It was the first time in the pool really for the summer. It was nice and hot, so I was very thankful to have the pool. And then
The
fireworks.
AC was busted in my apartment.
All right, thanks, Jose. And then a few days prior, I don't know why we spent almost $500 on fireworks, but these are the safe and sane ones,
How much is the sensors for your truck?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly.
Oh,
You know what, Jose?
Burn.
I invited you
I know you
to
did.
that event. I uninvite you. Time travel. I'll figure it out to fucking uninvite you with your lip. But anyhow, so we spent a lot of money on fireworks, and you get those like variety packs, and there's like the little fountain things in them, and then you kind of want some stuff for the kids to like run around with sparklers and stuff, and aim at each other's eyeballs and stuff. Gotta make it exciting. And then we spent like $100 on this. It was like the size of a popcorn tin. With a different, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It's
the caramel, the cheese, and the butter.
Maybe 20 inches tall and 18 inches diameter, And I'm like, yeah, we gotta like that thing. That's the coup de grace, is that the right coup de grace?
I think so.
Okay.
Krav Maga?
Krav Maga. Yeah, thank you, Jose. Krav Maga. Yeah, that's going to be the end of the show. And I was telling people at work, like, oh, man, that's how we do it in my neighborhood. Like, everybody down the street and the block next behind us, there's like
No, it's
six-
just Fontana, bro.
Yeah. It's all Fontana. But there's like close to us, like 6 houses that it's just mortars, crazy. Like
It's
the
Fontana.
Yeah, the smiley face ones, like it's crazy. It's not just like regular shit. I don't know where they're getting
During
this
the
at.
4th of July, it's not Fontana, it's Beirut.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
and we know how to celebrate. We're very patriotic people in Fontana. So, and then on our cul-de-sac, it's just like 3 or 4 houses. None of us do any of that stuff. It's just regular shit. But it's almost like there's a competition. Like, okay, who bought the coolest, legal stuff? And then we just kind of take turns launching. And I had that big giant thing like sitting on the table, by the driveway. Like, yeah, like, you guys got nothing on me this year. Like, look what's coming. And it fucking sucked. It was like, it just, remember, what the coolest things were? Remember Piccolo Pete's?
Yes.
And then you could squeeze them, and then they'd explode at the
Yes.
end,
You'd smash them and lay them down, and they'd shoot across the neighborhood
Yeah,
under a
exactly.
car and then catch it on fire.
Yeah, those were
Man,
fun.
you didn't prepare for this when we were in Laughlin, man? Did you see the fireworks at that place?
No, I know. Yeah, I think my truck was still working then, so, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But either way, so we did all that stuff. And luckily, I did take the next day off, which was, again, a brilliant move because I didn't feel like doing shit the next day, and I didn't. So that's what we did. It was very festive.
Cool.
I did pull out my, my fancy speaker that you hated, or
I did not
that-
hate.
that
You
Karen
just,
Karen hated at mid volume that thing was full blast.
You,
on 4th of July.
You're not a responsible user of that speaker. Casey, what'd you guys do?
We went and did a little bit more wheeling, and then we just hung around the lake, barbecued, hung out. Almost got into a fight with a guy because they were lighting off. We were like next to this dry field. You cannot get into Big Bear without seeing a sign that says, absolutely no fireworks.
Yep.
This dude was sitting in like a dry field, like in a Honda Pilot, shooting fireworks out of his sunroof, hotboxing the shit out of his car. And I just went up there and went off on the guy. Like,
yeah, what the fuck is your problem? Or, you know, you're going to burn down the town of Big Bear because you got to shoot some fireworks off up here?
And that was his argument. He's like, it's the 4th of July. And I was like, I don't give a fuck what day it is. I'm talking about burning people's houses down.
Yeah.
But what about the, freedom and blah, blah, blah? And I was like, ooh.
I'm about to go.
Light off. I said, light off another firework.
Yeah,
light off
another
my
firework. Freedom. Putting some hurting on you.
Put some freedom 4 feet up your ass.
4 feet of freedom.
So then once that was over and I cooled down,
that's a pretty good band name right there. 4 feet of freedom up your ass. Up your ass is their first album.
Why the 4 feet? You gotta ask.
And is that a linear feet or like your foot? You know what I'm saying? You gotta figure that out.
It's our 4 feet.
Yeah. You gotta listen to the album, and then maybe you'll get some insight on whether it's 4 feet of something or 4 actual feet.
Well, each album is one of our foots. Each album cover is gonna be one of our feet.
God, if we had any musical talent, can you imagine how many different bands we could start?
We could still start bands.
Mouse Rat.
No.
Have you heard like modern music? You don't have to have talent.
Yeah, dude.
AI generated.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody else had a good holiday and got some time off and did whatever you did and had a good time and nobody died. And I appreciate it. We're gonna.
You appreciate that I
appreciate that. I appreciate that nobody died.
Nope.
Okay. So I think we're good for the night. I'm hitting my wall, and I feel like the next conversation is going to be more than 4 feet. And
can that be the episode title? 4 feet of freedom.
No. All right, everybody in the chat room, thank you for hanging out. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for hanging out every week. Like I said, I hope you had a good holiday, and we will talk to you next week.
Casey doing dishes back there? What's he
I don't
doing?
know what he's doing.
Cooking.
He's doing something.
Ma, meatloaf.